what's happening now that I want to speak to briefly is that the world itself, our experience of the world, is now becoming the direct catalyst for a deeper exploration into what we could call the awakening journey. I know I've just talked about wakefulness in a previous video, but what I'm speaking to in this video is how usually there has to be a catalyst for a deeper exploration. Otherwise, why? Something has to trigger our journey. Something has to crack. Something has to break open within. And generally, what happens is that our pervading sense or security in or belief in reality, as we've been led to believe that it is on many different levels, starts to shake. We see things, we feel things. Hold on a minute, that doesn't look right, that doesn't feel right. There's a certain kind of alienation from experience. And there's no denying that in the last 20 years, I don't know, that's a random figure, but certainly since the advent and uprising of social media and internet and YouTube and awareness and information and disinformation and misinformation and distortion of information and the fighting of beliefs and the wars between people and the wars between tribes and nations and ideologies, and wow, you get to see so clearly with eyes that separate a little bit from that kind of reality, how not to make another decision about what it is, but how it forces one into oneself to see what is it about this experience. Why am I so much at the push-pull of the waves of phenomena? What is real? This question. What is real here in my experience? And in many ways, it would be the lone spiritual seeker who would ask that question for themselves. And they'd have to go on a very almost solitary, solo journey. I remember in the 90s, for me, after a life of alienation and confusion and craziness in so many ways, in the 90s, I just found myself stumbling by invitation into the wild shamanic transformational camp of this Celtic warrior in England that I've talked about before. There was no internet that guided me there. There was no information about him. I'd never heard of the guy, obviously. And it was all through other people. But ultimately, it was, when I left there, I'd still go back to my life, and there was no internet to find out anything about anything that was stirring in me. So, this primary experience in the 90s activated, an interest, if that's the right word, which it's not, a kind of falling into Rumi, a falling into Nisargadatta, into Ramana Maharshi, into the Mahabharata, into everything, into Celtic mythology, into what on earth is this reality that I'm in, that exploration. But the only way I could do that was to find some books. And I did find books. I found I Am That, Nisargadatta, and I found The Essential Rumi, and I found Celtic fairy tales, which were wonderful, wonderful stories. But it was a very different culture then. It was a very different environment. And what I'm saying now is in the last 20 or 30 or whatever years, things have changed so much that the opportunities are there to see or to open to or to start the exploration within. The catalyst is our experience now. The catalyst, it always was, but now the catalyst is writ large, because we could see the futility of the egoic state running rampant around the world. We can see how the ego attaches to corruption and power and violence and tribalism and self-centeredness. We can see these things, and we can start to say, you know, is that what I really want from my life? Is that what I really am? Am I the victim? Am I just, lost, seeking something in the world where I, am beginning to realize that I can't get it there? And what does that mean for me? It sort of throws us back. The world of our experience now, which is all the pain is coming to the surface, all of the drama, all of the horror is coming to the surface. It sort of was always there in some way, but now it's really amplified, amped right up. So it's, what I'm inviting is that either brings out more of the judgment of us. Oh, the world is this. Oh, the world is that. Oh, or else it throws us back into ourselves. And we kind of go in and say, who am I? Who am I, really? What is this? What is this experience? What is reality? What is real? What are belief systems? Why are we all led blindly by belief systems? Because 99% of them aren't belief systems or beliefs that we've arrived at consciously. Majority of beliefs are things that we've inherited and decided that works for me, based on all the things that I endlessly talk about: conditioning, religion, politics, morality, trauma, wounding, nuance, astrology, gene keys, type of person that we are, Enneagram, dosha in the Ayurvedic sense. All of these things conspire to give us a set of beliefs that then we carry around in our precious way and foist upon the world. The human being loves the tribe until you start to see, is this real? Is this tribalism real? I mean, really? And it throws us back, or it consolidates our beliefs. And what I am advocating is that it throws us back into ourselves, and we start a very deep exploration that goes on forever. It goes on for the rest of our lives. And that is where the jewel is. That's where the juice is. That's where the very essence of our life is. Because it changes us from being a follower of the herd, a follower blindly in many ways, comfortable or uncomfortable, stops us from being a follower, and we start to become self-realized, self-actualized. The self-actualized journey of a human being is incredibly powerful, because it takes us into deep realms that we had no realization of, no awareness of. in our previous lives. And this self-actualization is an ongoing unfoldment of us. We realize the myths, we realize the archetypes that are informing our lives, did we but know it. We realize how we've been led, consciously, unconsciously, manipulated, or just because of the nature of the way the world is. How so much of our lives have been run by karmic forces that we've carried through our parenting, through our parental ancestry, and the whole of that momentum. And we get to grow deeply. Our roots start to develop. Our branches start to reach up into the heavens, and we become self-actualized. And that just means awareness, rooted in awareness, self-actualization, that I am I am, not I am the I am. And that way we reconnect with our divine nature, our divine authority. So, we could say this is the worst of times, but for the one who's willing to go within, we could say these are the best of times. They're the best of times and the worst of times. The suffering is writ large. The horror of war is writ large. Everybody sees it. The manipulation of news is writ large. Tragedy and drama playing out. Horror. But don't be blind. Don't be blinded by it. Just go along with it in so many ways. Let it throw you back inside yourself so that you become a self-actualized human being. And that's power. It gives some power, a different kind of power to that power. It gives a depth of power. It brings out the love in us. It brings out the integrity in us. It brings out the humility in us. And it brings out a strong voice of advocating for love and peace from the deepest place within us. That's the nature of this invitation.